Can you take us back to that moment and what were you feeling? Tell us what was going on in your mind at the time.
So I got to MIT. I got to Berkeley. I had been a doctoral student at MIT. And my first day at Berkeley, I saw two of my former classmates from MIT Economics Department. And they were both assistant professors, which meant that they had 6 years to prove themselves. And in the meantime, they had security of employment for 6 years. And I was hired as a lowly lecturer, which means that I'm hired from year to year and never have an opportunity to become permanent. So I'm not shy, and I made an appointment to see the department chair. And I asked him why these two men had their kind of appointment and I had my lesser appointment. And believe it or not, he said to me, it's because I live in Palo Alto. And I thought, wow, you learn something new every day. I didn't know that you had to live in Berkeley. I didn't say this to him, that you have to live in Berkeley to be on the tenure track. But anyway, I was very upset and I walked back to my office and got into my car. I was living in Palo Alto. And I always say I became a feminist on the Bay Bridge, because I realized as I was driving across that bridge with the gorgeous view of San Francisco that I had been had and that you didn't have to live in Berkeley to be on the tenure track. So the next day I went and I started looking for people who had written about this. And I found not too many, but there was Elizabeth Cady Stanton. And she talked to me across the years and across the miles. And I realized that this problem that I was experiencing now was a very long-standing problem, that you couldn't be both a mother because I had two young children. And when I went back, both a mother and a professor or any other major role in the economy. So when I went back to the chair, he said he couldn't see me for 3 weeks, but I waited patiently to see him. And I said, I'm going to ask you the same question again, and I would like to have an honest answer. And he said, well, it's because you have two young children. At the time, I had an infant and a 3-year-old. And he said, we don't know what's going to happen to you. And I said, well, I'm not asking you to give me tenure today. Let's wait for 6 years. We'll see what happens to me. No, he said, I couldn't possibly sell that to the department.
Wow.
So there we were. And I decided that what I could do to help myself feel better and to try to make sure this didn't happen to other people was to teach a course using Elizabeth Cady Stanton's work and some psychologists and so on. There was hardly anything in economics. And I got permission to teach a course called Women and Work. And this book that you have on your desk there is an outgrowth of that course that I started teaching in 1972.
Wow. And who knew like such an opportunity evolved from this time of frustration? Because I when I got to that part, I'm like, oh my, I'd be steaming mad. And I'd be like, because I've always found like I have 3 children and they're young adults now, but I keep thinking about that shouldn't stop a woman from having those opportunities to grow and make an impact in the world. I think when I think about couples in love or people contemplating about getting married, it's a lot based on emotion and not necessarily thinking all those things through and examining everything from those different angles. So, one of the things is we're often not told to let money concerns influence decisions about love, and never to let love influence your decisions about money. Why does your research show that neither myth is true?
Well, I mean, if people are honest, they will tell you that their marriage decision was based not just on love, that it was also based on financial factors. They didn't fall in love with somebody. Well, maybe they did fall in love, but they didn't marry someone who was an economic disaster for them. Or if they did, the marriage wasn't going to last very long. Right. And so the decision to marry or even to live with someone is based, if you're honest with yourself, on both love and money. And, the decision to take a particular job might be based only on money. But if you haven't checked in with your family about this new job that you're taking based only on money, you may have an unpleasant surprise waiting for you when the rest of your family says either we're not going or we're going and we're going to make you very unhappy about this. So the fiction that has gone on for centuries that love and money are separate and that, one part of your anatomy is your brain and the other part of your anatomy is your heart, and never the twain shall meet. Well, they're both part of the same body, and these decisions are inextricably intertwined.
And, I realized as I was reading this that, some people, they have marriage classes that they go to before they're going to be able to get married, for example, in the church. But there's many times where people, if they're not affiliated to, maybe a religion, that they don't have those type of resources available to them. And, reading your book definitely helps people have those deeper conversations about where they want to live, the choices they want to make, who's going to stay home, do we want to have family nearby, and just incredible. And the approach you use is a 5 C's, and to evaluate decisions that involve love and money, because these decisions, of course, can be very overwhelming. And I love how it's about, let's talk about these things first. And I'm going to let you dive into them. But the one I wanted to, just the number one is clarify what's important to you. And, when I was thinking of people that I know around me, I was thinking that they don't always actually take time to clarify what they want. They go with the flow, or they just do what their parents did. And it's fascinating when you ask them what they want, they have no idea. So I would love for you to expand a little bit more on your approach in your book, Money and Love.
Yes. Well, in order to clarify what you're trying to do, you need to slow down. And that's why System 1 decision-making for these overwhelmingly important decisions really doesn't work very well. Because if you just go by your gut, it's fine. You see someone across the room, you're very attracted to them. Wonderful. Go for it. That's different from deciding to spend the rest of your life with them. You need to clarify what you want. And, it's not like finding a mate is like choosing a pizza and you decide in advance that you want mushrooms and pepperoni and so on. No, but you've got to have some idea of what you want. Do you want, never mind the other person, do you want a career? Do you want to be a full-time mom? Do you want to marry someone as a man who will have a full-time career so you can be a full-time dad? If that's really what you would love, then once you've clarified this, you can seek for that person.